Hello and welcome to Sharing the Light, and I'm Reverend Griffin. Sharing the Light is an online ministry opportunity of the Sunshine Cathedral located here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hello and welcome to Sharing the Light. I'm Reverend Griffin here at the Sunshine Cathedral. And today we are honored as always to have our senior pastor of the Sunshine Cathedral with us, the Reverend Dr. Durrell Watkins. And today we're going to be looking at a topic of a progressive view of the way, the truth, and the life. A progressive view of the way, the truth, and the life. That's kind of a mouthful, Pastor, and also kind of a tongue twister, but let's get into it. What is our take today as we look at a progressive view of what it means to be a part of the way, to be a part of the truth, and the life?
Well, that phrase comes from the fourth gospel, from John's gospel, where Jesus is quoted as saying, I am. There are a few I am statements in John's gospel, and it's always... they're always very affirming, by the way. I am the vine, you are the branches. I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the bread. I mean, it's always these, I am something good. And I think, first of all, that's a wonderful lesson for us, that when we make I am statements, we should say I am something good.
Right.
So when we talk
affirmation.
Exactly. So when we talk about our lives, I think we should follow that example. I am something good, and never something degrading or something negative or something demeaning. It should always be I am something powerful and something positive and something with a lot of potential. So I think that in itself is a wonderful lesson. The other thing I think that we need to recall in this fourth gospel, I am the way, the truth, and the life, Jesus says, is that John is writing very late, maybe 95, 96 of the Common Era. Jesus is killed in 29, so almost 70 years later.
Quite some time.
Exactly, a lifetime later, and in those days maybe 2 lifetimes.
Right.
Later, someone is writing. So this isn't somebody remembering or writing down something as it's happening. It's not something that even the other Gospels say. It's something that a Gospel writer is imagining and communicating to a particular community for a particular reason. This writer has an agenda for his community. He's trying to communicate something to his audience. And so this writer uses, we call him John, we have no idea what the person's name is, John, let's say, puts these words into Jesus' mouth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Why would that have been important to that particular community? Well, in that world, in the Roman Empire, Caesar's way is the way. That's the way. It's his way or no way. It's his way or the lions. It's his way or the chopping block. It's his way or the cross.
Crucifixion.
Yes, it's his way or a prison cell. It's his way or slavery. It's his way.
Right.
It's what it is. And so it's a very seditious statement to say there is another way. There is a way over against this imperial, colonizing, enslaving way. That's not the best way. That may be the way that's enforced on our physical selves, but there is a spiritual way that is more liberative, that is more life-giving, that is more true. Well, that's the way, the truth, and the life, isn't it? That this way over and against oppression, over and against imperialism, over and against colonization, over and against oppressive politics and economics, that is the divine way, and that way is the true way and the life-giving way. And so for Jesus to say about his movement, which was called, by the way, the way, John is saying our way, the way of Jesus, the way that we're trying to follow, is a better way. It's a more life-giving way. It is a truer way. And so that's what he's saying. And that's an important historical context. Because how we hear people using this way after the fact, thousands of years later, in a different language, in a different culture, is, see, Jesus said, I'm the only way. If you don't have certain opinions about Jesus, then God has no time for you. Well, I can't imagine Jesus ever saying anything so arrogant or so mean or so oppressive. And I can't imagine any movement taking off if he had such a thing. If we hear somebody being that self-aggrandizing and that arrogant and that so full of himself or herself, we wouldn't follow that person. Right. We would think that person was a horrible person and not a person offering a life-giving way. So I think that we have terribly misunderstood and terribly misused this phrase, the way, the truth, and life. This isn't to say that only Christians or only certain kinds of Christians have sacred value. Right. Jesus would never say that. Jesus wasn't a Christian, for heaven's sake. Jesus was Jewish. So he certainly wasn't saying that only Christians are acceptable to God, because that would have left him out. Right. Hello. But John is putting these words into Jesus' mouth to sort of resist oppressive systems. And the irony is that this quote has been used by religion to form another oppressive system, to keep people out, to control people, to instill fear, that sort of thing.
Now, as you were saying that, it just quickly came to my mind of hearing Caesar say, "I am the way," and then hearing Jesus say, "I am the way." Both saying the very exact same thing, but the implications are greatly different. Right. About the way, the truth, and the life. And so how would you pull that implication for us in today if we were to hear, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," what does that impact on our lives today?
Caesar's way is good for Caesar.
Right.
You do it Caesar's way, and that keeps Caesar in power. And then if you don't do it Caesar's way, you get in trouble. So Caesar's way is good for Caesar. Jesus' way is good for you. Because Jesus is long gone. It's been 70 years when this quote is finally attributed to Jesus. But to the way of Jesus, what is the way of Jesus? It's the way of speaking truth to power. It's the way of including those who have been excluded. It's the way of showing kindness and mercy and love to people who need it most. It's the way of loving the unlovable, touching the untouchable, forming community, taking care of one another. Well, that is the way that is good for the people who practice it. Right. It's not giving one person power or privilege. It is distributing goodness. It is distributing means. It is distributing empowerment for everyone. So when Caesar says it's this way, well, he's kind of protecting his interest. When John's Jesus says it's this way, this is an alternative way that empowers all of us, because it's not power over, it's power with. Right. We help each other, we help one another, we help take care of one another. That is the way, that is the truth, that is the life. And that is something that is true whether or not Jesus is your symbol for sacredness, for holiness, whether or not the church is the place where you experience worship and community. The truth is that the way of kindness, the way of generosity, the way of justice, the way of inclusion is the truer, more life-giving way. We hear that in our scripture. We try to practice it in our Christian community, but that doesn't mean it's limited to our experience. Buddhists certainly have experienced this truth. Hindus have certainly experienced this truth. Scientists have experienced this truth. Agnostics have experienced this truth. Everyone can experience the truth that giving, loving, sharing, speaking truth to power, resisting oppression is the better way, the truer way, the more life-giving way.
Wow. Thank you for being with us here today. And I want to thank you for joining us here on Share and Delight. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, please visit us on our website at www.sunshinecathedral.org or write to me with your questions and comments at robert@sunshinecathedral.org. And now for our final word from our senior minister, Reverend Durrell Watkins.
We're so glad you were with us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Sharing the Light. If you're ever in the Fort Lauderdale area, we hope you'll worship with us at 1480 Southwest 9th Avenue. Our services are at 9 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. on Sundays. Of course, you can always watch all of our programming and read our literature on the website. You can make prayer requests or donations on the website as well. In any case, we wish you blessings on your journey. Thank you for joining us here on Share and Delight.